So since the last stream that I hosted, I've been receiving a couple of burning questions from people in social media that I wanted to address here on this stream. The first one is, why didn't Forever Communities come to the PTR in May, like you said, you liar? So I should address this because last time I was hosting the stream, that was when we were issuing our public roadmap, where we were sort of talking about when we were expecting certain updates to come out, in what context, that sort of thing. And I, threw some stakes in the ground and said, okay, for one thing, the Forever Communities update, update 30, the next one that we're anticipating, that's going to arrive in May. I said that at the beginning of May. And then a month passed, it became May 30th, May 31st, June 1st, and it still hadn't come out yet. And so some folks started asking me why. And it's pretty straightforward. It actually has to do with listening to user feedback. So I've got this personal YouTube channel that I run where I play and comment on video games, including my own. One of my State of Decay 2 videos had a comment from somebody named John Sopkak, who brought up the fact that apparently people were losing their legacy characters in the live game. And he wasn't sure exactly what the circumstances were, but he was kind of upset about it, even a little bit rude about it, but we look past the rudeness and we take the feedback. And so I brought that feedback to the team, and it turns out there actually was a couple of serious bugs that had not quite bubbled up to us yet from the support site, that with people losing their legacy characters. It was possible if you were hot swapping your account while playing the game, that basically a blank version of your legacy pool could get saved over your legacy pool and delete all of your characters, which is a disaster. It's not common for people to do that kind of hot swapping, so it was a little bit rare. But if it happened, it was really, really bad. And there was also a situation where if one of our earliest updates to the game made it so that if you started a new community with legacy survivors in it and then deleted that community later, we would keep the legacy survivors in the legacy pool so you wouldn't lose them. Players got very used to that over the past several years, and that broke. And so people were starting new communities with legacy survivors, deleting them, and losing the legacy survivors, which was probably, it's not as bad as losing your entire legacy pool, but it's bad, and it was happening probably more often. And so basically, we dropped everything to address those bugs. And so the programmers on the team, they spent some time doing research, finding solutions, fixing them, and then we went through the process of making it ready for an update. And we actually snuck in an unnumbered hotfix about a week ago into the game to stop those bugs from happening. But that takes time. State of Decay 2 has a very small team, and so if you take several programmers to solve bugs for a little while, that means that we're not going to hit our other dates. And so, unfortunately, because we were listening to the feedback and because we were solving some pretty important bugs, we had to delay Forever Communities coming to the public test realm. So sorry about that, but hopefully, it kind of makes sense that we made the choices that we made. And actually, that kind of leads into the other subject, the other question I was going to come up with, as we're talking about the fact that we're a small team, the fact that it takes time to get an update live on the Xbox. And that is, why is the public test realm only on Steam and not on the Xbox, you disgusting toad? So I've been getting this question a lot too. So this is basically, so the public test realm, it's sort of an alternate version of the game that includes unfinished work that we've done, that we've put out in front of the audience so that we can have them play test it for us. And usually we'll prompt them with surveys to let them give us feedback so we can understand how this game is working in the wild, so that we can sort of, do our best work with it and shine it up and make it its best self before we put it out to the entire audience. And Steam is really great because it offers this really slick way for us to do it that we were actually already using for smaller scale closed beta tests. And it was really nice because as a very small team, we could very easily sort of push out new versions of the game into this alternate beta branch on Steam that people could then immediately get and give us feedback and try things out, and it was awesome. The challenge with putting that on the Xbox is that on any console, you'll find that there's actually a longer process, a more complicated process of getting any build out to players, and that's on purpose. Microsoft, which owns the Xbox, Nintendo, Sony, they have a really vested interest in making sure that all the software on their platforms is super high quality and that no one ever runs into some kind of, weird thing like you would, most PC services are a little bit more flexible. They expect there to be modders, people doing all kinds of crazy stuff. The standards are a little different, but on a console, the console manufacturers are really, really concerned with making sure that only good stuff goes out there, which means there's a process to putting a build in front of players. And unfortunately, as you saw with the Forever Communities being delayed in the PTR, going through a process like that actually can take a small team a lot of time and can really slow us down. And so that's the reason why, we went with the Steam option, because we can easily push these builds out really quickly, and why it's a little bit harder for us to do that on the console. And actually trying to do it on the console would take so much of our time, it turns out, that it would eat up a lot of the benefits that we get from doing this quick turnaround on Steam. So we're probably not going to be able to do it. Early on, we were a little bit bullish about the chances of doing this kind of thing all over the place. We were very excited about it, but actually, we're probably not going to be able to do it on the Xbox, because it would just take so much time away from our agility, from our turnaround. We really wouldn't be able to get a lot of the benefits out of this process that we could normally get. So sorry about that. But luckily, all of the things that we test out in the public test realm on Steam do eventually come to all the players on the Xbox. And the people who are playing on the Xbox, you know what you get? The best versions of those features, where the garbage version of it has already been tested out for you by somebody else.